Hey guys, it's a rainy day in Hohenwald, Tennessee, but we're super excited because we get a plant tour of Oliver. We didn't know if this was going to be possible this year, but when we were here last year for the eclipse, we totally missed our opportunity. We didn't book in advance and we missed the tour. So since this is on our way to California, we wanted to take the opportunity to stop, take a tour of the plant, and see the inside of some Olivers. So stay tuned.
Okay, you guys can come on through. Morning, Phil. They let me tow these things all across the country.
Oh really?
Actually,
so you deliver them?
Well, I don't deliver them, but what I do is we'll go to shows and different things
the
like
rallies
that,
and...
We actually, the last one I went to was the bowler rally in Winnipeg. So,
I bet, yeah. Bowler is
Wow.
wildly popular in Quebec.
They had their 50th anniversary
Yeah.
In Winnipeg.
I saw
here recently
that,
in August, so I got to go to that.
That's really cool.
So that was actually my first time in Canada, so it was pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I was ashamed to admit that, I'm 34 years old and I'm just now going to Canada. But,
Well, there are definitely...
But you know what, though? It opened up some doors. I'm going back for sure.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
All right.
beautiful country. So this is, there's going to be a lot that this building entails because we do the safe step walk-in tubs as well.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of stuff that pertains to that, and if you have any questions on that stuff, I can answer those for you.
Absolutely, perfect.
But we'll talk mostly about travel trailers today.
Okay, great.
So, little history on the building and the company itself.
Okay.
The company was started by two twin brothers, Jim and John Oliver, and actually John Oliver didn't actually get to make it to see. He passed in '06, so he didn't get to make it to really see the dream kind of play out.
All right.
But they basically decided that they grew up as campers. They raised their kids as campers. They were always taking trips, and of course they had businesses to run too, so they had naturally salespeople that would have to go across the country to their respective territories.
Yeah.
And in order to cut back on lodging funds for their salespeople, they decided to buy actually a fleet of casitas initially.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is they really just, they found themselves putting a lot of money into maintenance and stuff.
Yeah.
So they wanted to try to build something that was more specific to their needs.
Okay.
And being avid hunters and campers, they like to have something that they could camp in colder weather.
Yeah.
So they definitely knew that they were going to do something four seasons. Yeah. Which is where the double hull construction comes into play.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why it was easy for them to get into this business is because, as you see here, they build the walk-in bathtub out of fiberglass.
And
it's the same concept.
That was their core business.
That's correct.
That's their core. Okay.
Right. They do this, and then Jim has another plant down the road where he does mobile home foundations. He manufactures those injection molded polymer pads and anchoring systems for like mobile homes.
Okay, for like trailer models that's kind of stay there. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yep. So essentially, he makes foundation parts that will keep a trailer grounded whenever there's inclement weather, like tornadoes and stuff like that.
Oh.
So he actually he's got some patents on some of that stuff, and he's been doing that for longer than any of this other stuff.
Oh wow.
That's what really got him to Hohenwald. He was originally from Michigan. He went through California and then ended up here doing that. So then, of course, started making the safe step bathtubs, and because of that, the fact that we were doing fiberglass tubs was the whole reason he had the means to do the trailers.
Yeah.
Because he already had fiberglass people, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is it's one thing just to have fiberglass experience. It's another thing to know how to actually build a travel trailer.
True.
So he actually brought a couple of people in from a company called Catamaran, who they built houseboats out of fiberglass.
What are they called?
It was Catamaran.
Catamaran?
It was Catamaran.
Okay.
Just like the boat.
Yeah,
like
I didn't know that there was a company called Catamaran.
Well, there's a company called Catamaran, actually a couple towns over from here. And there was two people there that were just fiberglass gurus. They knew how to build molds. They knew how to, finish molds. They knew how to do fiberglass work. So they brought them in, and they started to technically reverse engineer a casita, for lack of a better word.
That's really interesting.
So they took the design of a casita. They kind of broke it down, decided some of the things that they wanted to do different that would give them that four-season quality, right? So, I mean, you'll see throughout this tour, there's a number of different things that they do just a little bit different that provide more four seasons capable trailer.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll show you that.
All right.
Where we're about to walk now is going to be into the fiberglass section.
Okay, great.
So this is where they actually build the fiberglass molds. I'm sorry, the fiberglass parts on the mold. Doing well, thank you. Okay. So where we're about to get, first of all, before we get started on this, I'll let you know we've got roughly 50 or 55 employees that work for the travel trailer side. Okay.
Okay.
So you'll see a number of other employees that work for the Safe Step Tubs, but when we get over to the main production area, you'll see a lot more employees working for you.
Okay.
So, are you guys familiar at all with how fiberglass is sprayed onto a mold?
A little bit. We were at the Northern Lights manufacturing plant in
Yes.
Kelowna, BC.
So actually, right here is a good place to stand to kind of see some different stages
Okay.
in the fiberglassing process. Number one, you have a mold, and of course, each of these big parts you see hanging here are molds for the 4 shells. So you have 4 total holes. You have, it's a double hole, which sounds like 2, but you actually have an upper, a lower, and then an upper and a lower inner liner as well. Okay. So this is actually an Elite 1 lower shell. You can tell because of the single axle wheel well there.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. And then of course you see he's working on a mold there.
Okay.
All right. For a small part, just like you have a mold here with gel coat on it for a battery box. Okay. Once these molds are conditioned and cleaned and ready, they will spray a ultra white bright gel coat, which is a transportation grade gel coat, onto the mold itself. Okay. Then of course the black gel coat that you see on top of the white is what's called a barrier coat. Okay. And that pretty much keeps that white gel coat from being as porous as it is. It doesn't allow the degrading of the gel coat as quick. So essentially what it does is it
kind of reinforces it?
Exactly right. It keeps it from becoming chalky, you know, as soon. And then of course, as long as you maintain that gel coat with a wax, yearly wax, and then keep it clean, add the UV inhibitors back into the gel coat, then you'll keep it nice and clean.
Good.
Or you'll keep the luster on it. The gel coat that he's spraying there, like I said, that's a transportation grade gel coat. It'll be used for the outside of the trailer and of course the inside. So every single part that goes into making this trailer is used with that gel coat. And not only is it transportation grade, but it also has natural UV inhibitors in it. So that's why you want to add those UV inhibitors with different types of materials like Serious Shine or Duragloss. Pretty much anything you can use for a fiberglass boat or for your casita.
Okay, so you want to buy kind of something that has the UV inhibitors.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a number of different products that do that.
That are primarily for boats, but can also be used
for... Absolutely. Any type of gel-coated structure. Okay,
great.
So the processes you see here, it gets the white gel coat, it gets the barrier coat, then it moves on. The inside, of course, doesn't get a barrier coat because it won't be exposed to the elements.
Yeah.
And you see that's that part over there they're working on is actually the lower liner. So that's the floor and the seating area and different things like that, the bed area. After the gel coat has been applied, they're going to apply the fiberglass, which we don't see them doing that on anything right now. But if you come over here,
I could see it on the edge.
You can see this has been fiberglass. And as the fiberglass comes out onto the part, it comes out, choppy like this. And you can see the drops of resin on it, right? Okay. So this is cured now, totally cured. But before it can cure, they actually have to go through and hand roll all of this out. So they take rollers that vary in size from, 1.5 inches to big rollers on a booms. And they'll roll all of this out, making sure that there's no air between the gel coat and the fiberglass itself. Okay. So that's also for reinforcement, making sure that there's no spider cracking in the gel coat, and just making sure that it's a structurally sound part. Okay. Then if you look really closely, you'll see certain areas that have an extra layer of fiberglass hand laid in. Okay.
Okay.
And essentially, this is a bi-directional woven mat that is just reinforced fiberglass that's not chopped out of the gun, but more so hand laid in. You can see it's cut into certain areas here. Right here is one of the bigger areas. This whole spare tire cover area here. Okay. And that's all hand laid in and then rolled in as well with the same resin and catalyst. So essentially, the fiberglass comes out, it's chopped out of a gun off of a spool. All right. It cuts the chopped fiberglass up into small pieces, mixes it with a resin. That's what goes on. Then they roll that out. Now there's a catalyst that goes in with it that is hardening it.
Okay.
So over time, that will harden. That's why it's important that they get everything rolled out before it's cured.
Okay.
And then, of course, it takes about 24 hours to fully cure.
Okay, so this has been sitting here for 24 hours?
Yes, or more, depending on
where they are in the
where
process.
they're at in the process.
Yeah.
Right. So you see Stuart, he's actually been here the longest out of everybody over here, and he runs this department.
Oh yeah.
He can do everything over here. He's just putting gel coat on that mold right there, which I believe is going to be for the Elite One wall, if I'm not mistaken. And when I say wall, I'm talking about the divider wall between the bathroom and closet and the rest of the main cabin.
Okay.
And you'll see that a little bit more later on down the process. So actually now you can actually see the fiberglass being chopped out.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We can move it a little bit
Oh,
closer.
that would be great.
I don't want to get too close because that gun can shoot pretty far.
Okay.
And if he overshoots it, it might become a sticky situation. But you see how they've got the rollers here?
Yeah.
And they're just rolling that fiberglass in over that gel coat.
Okay.
Okay.
That is really cool.
And that's how all fiberglass parts are made. Boats, your casita was made the same way.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of different, quality of gel coat, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what casita uses. We use a transportation grade gel coat. So all of that white gel coat, even though that's on the inside, it's the same as what we use on the outside, and it essentially holds up better to like road wear.
Okay.
So your rock chips that you see sometimes in your gel coat, that's gel coat.
That is so cool.
It's a pretty big gel coat.
Fun. We're such RV nerds.
That's cool. That's cool. Listen, I've been with the company for 8 years, and all of a sudden I find myself becoming an RV nerd myself.
Yeah.
I definitely have fallen in love with the lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it's something I plan on doing now. So let's go over here real quick. I want to show you a couple more things here.
Okay.
So you see a number of different small parts that are built in the same fashion.
Okay.
So this was a mold for the fender that they put a part on, okay? And you see it's just fiberglass,
Yeah.
right? And of course gel coat. Everything's made out of the same material, the same process. Now, there's a number of different things that we use for structural integrity and reinforcement.
Okay.
Of course, the bidirectional fiberglass I was telling you about earlier. It's just a woven mat, right?
Okay.
With fiberglass. This is just for added strength, and you see there's a number of different
And where are those used?
different places. So that would be used for the steps, and then there's other things too. So then, of course, you have this carbon core. Okay. This is a very lightweight material. It's a polymer type material, plastic, and it there's obviously a number of different areas for that as well. You can see cutouts, but this is a honeycomb designed material. You can see the honeycomb type structure. It's got this film over it on both sides so that the resin, when it's laid in, doesn't seep down into each of these cells, and it allows air pockets in here.
Okay.
So what this does is it actually provides structural integrity for places where we're going to cut windows out,
Okay.
or places where we're going to mount stuff to the roof, and of course it will go all along the floor as well.
Okay.
Okay, so it just gives the fiberglass a little more rigidity,
Okay.
but it also is lightweight, so it's not like adding wood or metal for that integrity.
True.
Where we can get away with
Yeah.
not adding the weight. But at the same time, just as an added bonus, and this isn't even really why we use it, but this will provide you an insulative quality as well. So even though we're insulating the travel trailers with a specific type of insulation, which we'll go over later, this provides insulative quality just as well.
Because of the air pockets.
Right, exactly right. So you have the air pockets, but you also have the natural air gap from being double hull construction.
True.
So you'll have an air gap between the outer shell and the inner shell. But not only does it provide insulative quality, it provides sound dampening.
Yeah.
So,
no kidding.
Of course, it's not used in the complete surface area of the shell, but it's used on the sides, on the floor, and on the roof. So essentially, you have full coverage of sound dampening material in the actual part.
That's awesome.
If you'll come over here, I'll show you that in action. Okay. Right here, we have, this is our Elite 1 model, which is our 18.5-foot single axle. This is going to be the outer shell, okay? You see that carbon core is used all along the roof, right? Right here where the window is going to be cut out, and all down the side where the windows will be cut out on the street side of the travel trailer.
Yeah.
Here are the metal backer plates for mounting the solar panels.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so when they mount those solar panels, they have to have something to tap into for those screws to grab onto.
Yeah.
And that's what they use. Now, the unique thing about Oliver is each of the trailers are going to be fit with those
So
backer
that
plates.
comes standard on
Correct.
every trailer,
Whether you get solar or not.
which is amazing.
Right, so that way you have that resale value. You
Yeah.
have that ability to add solar later without the cost
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
labor being as much. And it's just, we do the same thing with our wiring harness. All the harnesses are the same.
Yeah.
The backer plates are the same. We try to build a pretty standard body and frame and wiring harness, and then we add components as they work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you definitely have that resale value, more so than it just being a fiberglass trailer. Careful not to touch this one. You can tell that the color is a little bit different than what we've seen.
Yeah.
It's a lot more red and pinkish
Yeah.
tones to it.
Yeah.
That's because it's not fully cured.
Oh.
It's actually still pretty tacky to the touch. You see, it's very, very
Yeah,
tacky.
and you get the smell is stronger
Very
here.
strong over here,
Yeah.
right? Very more potent. So, but I just wanted to bring you over here to show you that this would be the upper liner.
Okay.
Okay. So if you see here, this is where your cabinet liners are going to be.
Okay.
And of course, we build fiberglass, gel-coated fiberglass cabinet liners that will be mounted to this. So when your cabinet doors are cut out right here,
Yeah.
okay, and you open the cabinet door, typically when you open a cabinet door on a fiberglass trailer, what do you see?
Well, in the casita you see fur.
Right, carpet,
Carpet.
or just raw fiberglass in some cases I've
Yeah,
seen.
true.
But if they really get fancy, they'll at least paint it, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to give you a gel-coated, nice finished cabinet liner.
That's
So you'll
awesome.
see that in the end product.
That's
We'll
awesome.
revisit that. Cabinet liner's being built there. You see how they take the shape of that
Yeah.
radius there? Okay. And if you guys don't have any further questions about fiberglass, we'll go ahead and walk on
Yeah.
to the metal
Not
department.
for now, no.
You can see there, they're doing the tubs.
Yeah.
Same way.
Oh, those are the walk-in tubs.
Yeah. You can get some footage of that for sure. Same process.
That's the walk-in tubs that they sell. The safety tubs there.
Okay.
Cool.
You see how the fiberglass is coming off of that spool? They've just got a pallet with a bunch of fiberglass spools over there.
Okay.
And it's just feeding up and through that gun.
Huh.
Sure. So this is the Elite frame. You can see this is the single axle frame, which would be similar to the size of your casita frame,
Yeah.
except for a little bit more bulky.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't use a steel tube frame. We use a aircraft grade aluminum.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome.
So aircraft.
Well, but also it's more resistant to rust,
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
That's the purpose.
It's definitely more resistant to rust and corrosion. So you have an aircraft grade aluminum frame, okay? It is 2" by 5" tubing on the side rails, and then your tongue is actually 5/8 inch thick. And so that's very thick aluminum, okay? And that's a 3 by 5" tube, okay? So those are all your lines. You have, these are going through your propane lines that you see coming through. Now the difference is on the Elite 1 and the Elite 2, on the Elite trailer, you have the propane line coming right down the middle of the frame here. And then you see that because you have components on either side of the trailer. On the Elite 2, all of your propane components are on the curb side of the travel trailer. So they have the main trunk line coming down the side here, essentially from here all the way up, okay?
Okay.
So those are the differences. But what you see here is going to be, that'll be your furnace, that'll be your refrigerator, your stove, and your hot water heater.
Got it.
Okay? But if you look at some of the welds on our frame here, they're very nice TIG welded welds there on that aluminum, okay?
Are you guys the only ones in the industry that use this as a frame? Because I haven't seen this before.
I think that we're the only ones in the industry at least using this stout of an aluminum frame.
No kidding.
If there's anybody else out there doing aluminum, I don't know about them.
Okay.
But if there are, and I'm sure somebody out there's got to be doing it. But if they are, I doubt it's built as rigid as this frame.
Because this is amazing. This is blowing my mind right now.
This is probably our #1 sales tool.
No kidding.
Right here.
No kidding.
They have shocks. I don't think hers have shocks.
Right, so we do have gas shocks here. If you look here, we've got gas shocks, and of course there's 2 on the Elite model, and on the Elite 2 there's 4 because you have 2 axles.
The blades. Whatever you call that.
Right, so you have the leaf spring.
Yeah.
Yes, it's leaf spring suspension with
Leaf spring?
right. So you see these are what's called leaf springs. You see those?
Okay.
All right.
And they got strong. This is amazing. So
This is amazing.
Well, it shakes, but not like Rosita.
Right. This thing is going to handle rougher roads and potholes and things like that a lot
And
better than
off-roading.
anything that doesn't have off-roading. If you look at the clearance, just look at the clearance alone.
It's much higher than the
right.
Casita.
That's correct. This is you're probably looking at about probably 16 inches from frame to the floor.
Okay.
On the Elite 2, it's an 18-inch
Wow.
clearance, and on the
That's
Elite 2,
amazing.
you've got about a 15-inch clearance on the axle itself, which is the lowest point, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely built for off-roading.
Yeah.
It's built for taking it to those places that you can't get with other trailers.
Yeah.
So now, do you guys make this chassis, or you guys buy it and do?
No, this is all built right here. As a matter of fact, you can see our welders getting a jig, getting one set up in the jig right now to finish welding.
Built here, yeah.
We get the aluminum shipped in, and then we cut the aluminum down. We cut it into each piece, and then weld it into place. Now, the reason why you see such good welds is, is because, for one, we've got really great welders.
Yeah.
I got to give them credit. But we also gave them, the tools that they need to do the job properly.
Yeah.
So if you look at that template they're using,
Yeah.
they can actually turn that over and do the Elite model on one side, and then turn it over and do the Elite 2 on the other side.
That's
so it's very
amazing.
efficient, but not just efficient, it's actually very ergonomic because they can lift that up to eye level, they can lower
True.
it down to waist level, they can roll
So they're
it
not
over.
always bending
They're
over,
not in a
less
bad-
injuries.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They're not in an awkward position trying to do a weld, and that's why you see such beautiful welds come out on the trailer.
Yeah, no kidding.
And welding aluminum is not the easiest thing to weld, so it takes a lot of skill to do that. Yeah, so it's a lift much similar to a lift that you would see on a garage, correct? And we just kind of built. Now, a couple other things I want to tell you about. It is an aluminum frame, but there is some steel involved. There's galvanized dipped steel subframe here. Okay, so what you see here, this part right here, is actually, or you can see it over there with the bolts
Okay.
coming through.
Yeah.
That's galvanized steel,
Okay.
And what we've done to prevent galvanic reaction between the two metals is we've added zinc anodes. So you can see one of those here. That's a zinc anode.
Okay.
There's one at each corner, and you'll see those on boat trailers quite often. And the reason you see them on boat trailers is because moisture and water is what causes rust in steel, right? So when you have a steel boat trailer, you have to have zinc anodes to take the brunt of that rust, all right? That anode will absorb that rust and corrosion, okay?
And then you just replace it?
And you
after?
replace them, correct.
Okay, that's
Now,
cool.
now let me give you an idea of how often you have to replace them, okay? On a boat trailer, something that's being submerged in water, over and over, going down the boat ramp, okay? You probably have to change those out every, I'd say, 2 to 3 years, okay? On this, you're looking more at 6 to 8 years.
Yeah, because it's not being submerged.
It's not being submerged
Yeah.
as often. Now, you are going to drive through wet areas. You're going to drive in the rain. You're going to drive in coastal areas. You're going to drive through salt and brine on your, salted roads. But what you do is you take care of the frame just by spraying off the chassis, the undercarriage. Every time you go through a situation like that,
Yeah.
just be aware that it wouldn't hurt to spray it off. But I've seen trailers come back from 2008 and they're still just as shiny aluminum as this. There's no rust. So.
After 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we have our frame.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
getting rusted all
and once
over.
they rust and once it gets too bad, you're either replacing a frame,
Yeah.
or you're going to have issues, down the road.
Oh yeah.
And you
Oh,
don't,
for
and
sure.
those are safety issues at that point.
For sure.
So
So
that's the stairs, right?
right. So here's the steps here. So a simple operation, you just pull them out like this, and then that folds down. Okay.
And
Now-
because it's a higher axle, so you have the 2 steps.
Correct. We've got a double step. They're very sturdy. They're not like most trailer steps where, after a year or so, they're starting to fall off.
Yeah.
And they're hard to pull in, to
And-
pull
right,
out. You
exactly
fight
right.
with them.
These will always remain true, and they'll always remain easy to pull in and pull out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I weigh about 220 pounds. Okay. And I'm pretty confident that I can bounce on this without them breaking. Okay. So I mean, anybody, any size can as long as they can fit through the door, can get on these steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
That's it.
It's cool.
And then once they're in, they're in. There's no pins or any kind
Yeah.
of latches that you have to do. So it's very easy operation. Now, here I want to show you, this is our hitch that we use. This is the Bulldog hitch. This comes primarily from the farming industry.
Okay.
So you see this on a lot of horse trailers and then a lot of bigger farming equipment, combines and such. And the reason is, this gives you 360-degree contact point on your ball. So instead of most hitches that come down over the ball and then the swing gate comes around and catches the backside of the ball,
Yeah.
this is actually providing you that full contact on the ball as it articulates inside the hitch. So when you turn, there's no chance, or you're going down a rough road or anything, bouncing a lot, there's no chance for this to fly off of the trailer. So essentially, you close that, pull that back, the collar slides over, and you're good to go.
Nice.
Then of course there's a pin that you'll put in here.
Yeah. Wow. Very sturdy.
Now each of our sections has an inspection that it goes through. So this frame has already been inspected and signed off by our quality manager and one of the team members, and then of course the welder himself.
Okay.
Okay.
So it goes through 3 inspections.
Well, it goes through more than that actually. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is the Elite 2 frame being built on the. You can see it's much longer, obviously. But he's getting ready to, I believe, since I see the subframe clamped in, you're getting ready to drill the holes for the.
Yeah, I'm drilling the holes and doing all the welds there.
Okay. Sure. Smart. They're going to spray a rubber cavity spray into that channel before the aluminum side rail is even put in there.
All right.
So this area is our prep department. This is where they're going to essentially build everything that they, or reassemble everything that they can do before it's injected into the actual assembly line. This is one of our wiring harness tables. You'll notice that there's a number of different tables, each with their own harness, okay? The wiring harnesses, again, something we do in-house so that we can fully control the quality of that harness. We can make sure that when it's built with everything it needs. There's nothing that we have to add or remove. So that's just the benefit of, again, taking ownership of it and doing it in-house.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
again, that's something that's rare. Most of the time you see people have wiring harnesses built and sent in. We did do that when we first started, and we very quickly realized that in order to save money, in order to keep quality, at its highest point, we may as well bring that in-house. So we had some of our best electricians build these wiring harness tables for us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're able to control the quality, and that's huge.
Right, it really is. And the more control we have over that quality, obviously the better the product.
Absolutely.
So let's actually walk through here real quick. You'll notice here we've got, these are going to be your cabinet doors, okay?
Yeah.
You've got a couple different options. You can do a black cabinet door,
Yeah.
okay? Or you can do a frosted, which that one doesn't want to cooperate, but you can do a frosted cabinet door,
Yeah.
okay? Now, each of these acrylic doors are cut in-house as well. This is all routed and cut right here. The trim rings for those cabinet doors, this is vacuum formed, heat formed, if you will, acrylic, okay? This is also done right here in-house. We vacuum form our own acrylic trim rings, so our design, okay? So this is set up on a CNC machine and routed out. Okay? So here's an example of one of the cabinet liners that we were talking about before.
Okay.
This is what's going to be mounted into, or onto the side of that upper liner,
Yeah.
which whenever you open your cabinets, you're going to see that white gel coat.
Yeah.
So if you look down in here and roll this around a little bit, you can see that this is going to be the finish of your cabinet liners in the end.
Okay.
So you can see it's just fiberglass and of course gel coat on the inside. Now you'll notice something. These deck hatches you see here,
Yeah.
from the other side, obviously I could turn that deck hatch and open that, okay? And the reason why we have deck hatches throughout the trailer is for access to things like switches and different wires. So when it's time to do maintenance on these trailers, everything's very easily accessed.
That's
and you'll
good.
notice that throughout the process as well.
That's awesome.
That's definitely a great feature. These pieces you see here are pre-assembled bike hinges. So this would be mounted with 2 bolts that go through the rear of the frame, okay?
Can you say that again? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's okay. This will be mounted here. Right here where these 2 holes are, there'll be 2 carriage bolts that go through and mount this to the frame, okay? So once this is mounted to the frame, you'll see you have this receiver hitch here. That's for any standard RV bike rack to be mounted there.
And that comes standard?
Well, this is actually an option.
This is an option.
This is an option. And I'll try to, as we go through, I'll try to differentiate, the different options. And
Sure.
This is going to be the bumper. So you see, this is also that same aircraft grade aluminum.
Yeah.
It has got a brushed finish to it,
Okay.
and it's got the 2 brackets, one on either side. You can see that it's built to swing down when you open it, and then when you close it, you just swing it back up.
Okay.
And you'll get a better idea of that later on as well.
All right.
So again, pre-assembly is very important to us, so that way we can streamline the process out there, right?
Yeah.
So what you see here is a platform with your water pump, SureFlow water pump, and a accumulator. Now that is a standard feature here. So what this does is this allows constant pressure from the pump. So instead of getting spitting and spurting every time you turn the pump on, this is going to allow it to be, constant pressure at your faucets and, create constant water flow.
It's called an accumulator?
It's called an accumulator.
Okay.
If you zoom in on this here, it's made by the same company as the water pump, SureFlow.
Okay.
Okay, and it's just an accumulator, and what it does is it stores air inside this bladder here.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what keeps this thing constant.
And that comes standard.
That's standard, correct. Now, one thing I want to point out on here as well, you don't have many water line connections. Okay, really, this is going to be, with the exception of the water inlets on the trailer, the majority of your actual connection points for the water lines. Okay. And the reason why we've achieved so few water connections is because we use these braces here on this PEX. The PEX is very flexible, hence the name PEX, okay? Because it's flexible, instead of putting a 90-degree Here, I can just use this brace, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see that throughout the trailer. And essentially what that does is it cuts down on as many possible leak points.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's definitely
Well thought out.
very
That's
well thought
really
out.
well
Correct.
thought out.
Now the PEX itself is actually rated for colder temperatures as well. So even though you've got a 4 seasons trailer and you should never have freezing water in here, there's always a chance for that
Yeah.
if you fail to take the proper precautions. So let's say you left some water in here, you stored it outside, and it got to negative 20 degrees, and the water froze inside these pipes. Okay, let's just say hypothetically that happened. The PEX is designed to actually expand. So instead of breaking, the breaking point is definitely a lot further out. So that water will expand and then contract and thaw out after it's done, after it's been through the freezing process, and save this from breaking.
That's
Now,
amazing.
it doesn't mean that this can't break. It just has a bigger threshold of a breaking point.
For sure.
It definitely removes the worry.
It really does.
Especially
That's one of the biggest things is your water line, whether or not they're going to leak. Then, of course, you can see things like these propane quick connects. This is going to be an option for your trailer. You can get the propane quick connect package. Will give you this one here and one in the rear. So you'll have. Actually, this will be the one that's mounted in the rear. This will be the one mounted in the front. And what this does is it allows you to use a propane fire pit or grill outside, so you can cook outside under your awning.
From your tanks.
From your propane tank.
That's amazing.
So instead of having to lug around a big grill with you,
Or
you'll have a grill, but it'll be a smaller probably.
But you
Yeah.
still have to get the fuel and
Right.
to carry and store it.
And you
Exactly right.
That's really cool.
So it's a fairly inexpensive option, and it goes a long way.
No kidding.
Especially if you like to cook outside.
Little things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the little details.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll notice throughout, I mean, the attention to detail in the thought process into the design of the trailer, not just the shell, but where everything's located, is just phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's very easy to access. And of course, you can see some more of that PEX we use. Of course, it's color-coded, cold
Yeah.
water and hot water,
Oh,
right?
nice.
So that makes it simple for the technician working on it. All of our different drain lines and P-traps are built here with standard ABS type plumbing and venting.
Okay.
So, and the great news is for you Canadians, these are all built at Canadian specs. So you can buy one right now and take it across, do your inspection after 45 days, I believe, or within 45 days, and you should pass that inspection very well.
I was under the impression that if it was a new RV, that it did not need an inspection, or at least in Quebec.
Well, the thing is and it's definitely different whichever province you're in, I believe.
Okay.
But because it's a standalone trailer and we don't have dealerships,
Yeah.
I think that's why they require that inspection.
Oh, okay.
So, and until we, grow to the point where we have dealerships, which is probably very far off into the future, then they'll probably continue to require that.
Yeah.
Now, again, that could be different in different provinces. So maybe in Quebec, that's not.
Yeah, we got information, and I don't think so. If it was new, we didn't have to.
Okay.
It may have changed since we verified, but.
So here's our two different water heaters, okay? And you'll see these throughout the process of the build process, but this is our standard water heater. This is a 6-gallon Suburban. You see this on most of your travel trailers. Your Casita probably has the same one.
Yeah.
And
yeah, ours isn't automated though, so we have to light the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one.
It's old. It's like a 2005
Oh, okay, gotcha. So this one definitely has the electric
option. Yeah.
And so you can heat water with the 110 by flipping this switch.
Oh, nice.
Okay, or you can heat it with propane simply by going inside the trailer, flipping a switch, and it'll light this burner.
Yeah, that's great.
So very, very nice standard feature. And I'll say this, even our standard features are great features. You'll notice that.
Yeah.
So our options are just really, really, really good features.
Yeah. True.
This is the Truma Instant Hot Water Heater. It's tankless. It's instant and constant hot water. This is hot water on demand, okay, at its finest. It's German engineered, so it's a very great product. It definitely is going to save you the time waiting for that water to heat up.
Yeah.
And of course, it has an anti-freeze function as well. So when you're in the colder weather and you have this in eco mode or comfort mode, you will essentially, as long as there's water in here, keep this thing from freezing, regardless of which mode you're in. You'll see a few different things here. Some of the, this is going to be your basement door. So from the outside of the trailer, you have this marine style latch right here. You open that up, the basement door slides down. It's got this gasket on it here. And you'll see more of that when we get over to the production line. Of course, the nightstand. And, you know, they're just pre-assembling things here. When we get back to the sales office, we'll go through a new trailer and I'll kind of showcase some of this stuff.
Sure.
So you'll see here, they've got different tanks that they're getting prepped.
Okay.
So Jessica here is actually prepping an 18.5 gallon tank right here, which is your black tank.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your waste tank.
Yeah.
And then of course right over here there is a gray tank. All right.
Okay.
So this is where all your gray water is going to go. That's 35.5 gallons. Okay. You can see they're prepping your stand-up, your full-length mirror shower door. Shoot over here real quick. So there's very little wood used in the construction of an oliver, but obviously there's got to be some wood somewhere, right? So our wood is primarily in our galley area. So this is where your kitchen drawers are.
Yeah.
Each of those drawers are made from poplar wood. This is the same type of wood that's used in your casita for your door crush and things.
Yeah.
And you can see that that's dovetail.
Dovetail, yeah.
So there's no stapling or anything like that. We definitely take pride in our craftsmanship of our drawers here.
Beautiful, yeah.
Another great feature about these kitchen galleys is they're soft close drawers. Okay.
Amazing.
So now there's another thing too. There had been issues of people's drawers coming open as they make turns and stuff like that. A lot of times RVers will experience that. It's just something that, depending on the type of trailer, you know, you could have that. So what we did was we actually took, and I'm trying to see if there's anyone around here that already has. Come this way, come this way. Well, I don't think they have one done, but we'll cover it when we get to the finished unit. Sure. Essentially what it is just a thing that we added this year that will allow that drawer to push in just a little bit further, and it will actually keep it latched. Okay? So you have the drawer that still has the soft close function, but when you get ready to travel, you just push it in just a little bit more, and it'll latch to the...
And that with the shocks means that it's less likely for those drawers
You're
to
not going to get
open.
to where you're going, come inside the trailer and see
everything's all over the
stuff.
place, yeah.
That's what we needed for Baja.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need that for Baja, for sure. That or the Alcan or anything like that. So let's actually walk back up this way. We'll make a right. Next area we're going to go in is where they cut out all of the openings for the doors and the windows and things like that. Trim off flanges and trim anything that needs to be trimmed on the main parts before they put in the production. So we're not going to walk all the way in just because it's pretty dusty, and we don't need all that in our lives. But I just want you to kind of look around. You can see that the holes have been cut out for the cabinets way back in the back. They've got the cart full of small parts. Yeah. So you see a spare tire cover, the cabinet liners. They're going to trim all the flanges off and make everything ready for fitting it in onto the travel trailer. Holes for the cabinet liner, or for the cabinets and cabinet openings. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to notice is a lot of times, unfortunately, in the RV industry, you see areas that are going to be covered, so they'll put a trim ring over that, obviously, that they don't really take the time to make sure that the cut is necessarily straight. Okay. And you see that a lot, unfortunately. Okay. But what we do is we build templates for all of our cutouts. So anywhere that you see, you know, a cut being done on here, there was a template in place before that cut was done. All right. And essentially that's just a kind of a rule we live by. We don't like to have to measure things. We want everything to be, you know, the same as it is on the next part. Yeah. Right? So this is the Elite floor. Okay, this is the smaller trailer. Your black tank will be sitting right here. This will be your bathroom. Your toilet will be here.
Yeah.
Black tank will be underneath. You have a vanity, a sink, toilet paper holder. Seat covers all have these cutouts. Okay, so everywhere your seats are going to be, there's going to be a cover right here. You can pick that cover up. There'll be an opening, and then whatever's under there, and it just varies depending on whether it's the Elite or the Elite 2. On this particular model, your furnace is going to be under here.
Okay.
Okay. And then, of course, on the Elite 2, you'll have a lot more storage underneath that we'll go over later. Real quick, I'll show you the insulation that we use.
All right.
So remember, we've already talked about the carbon cord that they hand lay in that already has an insulative quality.
Yes.
Then on top of that, the air gap between this and the lower liner, which again is insulative in itself. But this is actually the insulation we use. And this is the equivalent of an R16 value, although it loses a little bit of that because of the way we install it.
Okay.
But again, it's just kind of overkill nonetheless. You've got a polyethylene closed cell foam, okay, here, very thin, it's about an 1/8 inch thick, and that is wrapped in foil on either side, okay? So what that does is that gives you a radiant barrier. Essentially, if you've ever been in a structure where the sun was beaming down on one side of the wall, and you could put your hand on that wall and feel the heat coming through, that prevents that from happening.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so not only do you have that heat transfer that you're not getting into the trailer, but you also don't get cold weather transferred into the trailer as well because of this insulation. Now, not only is it a radiant barrier, it's a vapor barrier, a moisture barrier.
That helps.
It will not allow water to pull up on this or sit and soak.
Yeah.
Water cannot soak into this. So therefore, you don't have mildew
Condensation.
and mold
Yeah.
later on. Now, there will be a slight degree of condensation, but here's what happens. Instead of like on a casita or a different type of single hull trailer where you get condensation on the walls and stuff, this condensation is going to be between that shell. It's not going to go into the main cabin. It's all going to be in that gap. So with this being a moisture barrier, the condensation will then roll off, okay, of the insulation and out one of the weep holes underneath on the body.
That's awesome.
So there's going to be 13 strategically placed weep holes that are drilled into this shell, okay, for that water to evade. Now, you're thinking now, okay, well, there's holes. Can't rodents and things like that get in, bugs and stuff? Well, we've actually went a step further and screened off the holes. So water can go out and nothing can come in.
That's awesome.
So rodents in your travel trailer is not something that's unwanted guests, right?
Yeah.
In the Oliver, you would literally have to invite them in the front door because they're not getting in here any other way. That's correct.
That's awesome.
And even if they did, let's just say hypothetically somehow you weren't paying attention and one did run in there and you were going through your storage and you seen him run through, you would notice that he was running through, you know, trying to find a way out because it's not a very hospitable place for him to live. That's because this insulation is also non-nesting.
Yeah.
So they can't actually use this for nesting and things like that. So it's definitely not a place that a mouse wants to be anyway, even if they could be. But you'll notice that the insulation is, you know, encapsulates the entire lower shell. Now, the upper part of the trailer needs to be insulated as well, right? So what they'll do is they'll take the upper liner that you see there behind you, okay, and that will be fully insulated. And you'll get a view of that when we go out onto the actual. Actually, a lot of times they're not going to be able to fix that, so they'll replace the panel. They'll a lot of times just total out. Insurance will just total the trailer. Whereas with us, if you had any damage to your fiberglass shell or body, it's something that's easy to fix and it's relatively
Inexpensive compared to an aluminum
That's right.
trailer.
Exactly.
We won't name any names.
Right, we won't name any names.
Look at the clearance on that.
That's
So
amazing.
this is one of the bigger trailers. So that's your 18-inch clearance there.
Wow, 18 inches of clearance. Amazing. We'll see that up close later on.
Yes. So if you'll notice here, up above, you'll see these signs, okay? There's signs all throughout here, and they each represent a section of the process. So of course, there's a certain amount of responsibility for that section to complete that task before it moves on. Now, it's not just a matter of it being completed and moving on, it has to pass inspection. So our inspection process is actually built in. Instead of it being, wait till the trailer's done and go through and inspect it, we inspect each different section before it can pass on. All right? Now, I say that, and then I want you to just look around and notice all the signs. How many inspections do we actually do? There's a lot. Right?
Tons, yeah.
And then once it's done, they'll do a final inspection on the trailer and essentially cover the full trailer, every nut and bolt. And then of course sales and service, before they can take the trailer over for delivery, they have to keep production honest, right? So they do their own inspection as well. So essentially you're getting an inspection at every section and then 2 final inspections before it's done.
Okay.
Okay, so here you'll see that we're actually using light truck tires. These are Michelin tires, made in Canada. And these are 10-ply E-rated tires. So they're not like your typical trailer tires that you see on most other brands.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a 16-inch aluminum rim. These tires are nitrogen filled. That'll essentially, maintain your pressure a lot better than standard oxygen filled tires. And essentially it achieves that because nitrogen is a bigger molecule than oxygen. So it's less chance for that nitrogen air to escape from the sidewalls of the trailer when you have colder weather.
So how long can you go without refilling it?
You can go quite a while. I mean, at some point you may notice that you've lost a little bit, but it's gonna be a lot longer than your standard oxygen, and it's all variable. It really just depends on your climate, how often you're traveling, and things like that. But one of the great things is if I need to put air back in here, regular air, say it's an emergency and all I have is an air compressor, I can do that. But then I would just have to take it somewhere where they do have nitrogen to have them replenish that nitrogen. And essentially at that point, they would take all of the air out and refill it with pure nitrogen.
Okay, so you would empty out the nitrogen, refill it with air, and then go and bring it back and have it.
Well, here's the thing. You can have an air to nitrogen ratio.
Oh yeah?
So what I mean is you don't have to empty out the nitrogen. You can just put air into the tire to top it off.
That's
then if you want to replenish that and make it fully nitrogen again, then you take it somewhere and they will actually.
That is really good to know. I did not know that. Awesome.
One more thing I want to show you as far as the suspension goes. We didn't get to look at this on the single axle trailer because it's not needed, but as a standard feature, you'll see this tandem axle equalizer that you're zooming into there. That actually is made by Dexter, the same company that makes our axles, and it is designed to allow these 2 axles to work independently of each other instead of together. So essentially, when you're going through a rough road or you're hitting potholes and things like that, instead of these 2 axles sort of jumping through that pothole, they'll actually just walk right through it.
Oh,
so
wow.
you definitely, and it's, you can't see it. Obviously, the naked eye can't pick up on that as you're traveling, but if you were to take a video of this trailer going through something like that at ground level, and then you slowed it down, you would literally see the first tire drop into the pothole,
nice,
raise back out of it, and then the back tire fall in and out. So it just cuts down on about 80% of that road shock that you have.
Keeps you also more level.
It absolutely does. It does, yes.
Right.
So that's a standard feature.
Nice.
One less thing you got to pay for extra though.
Well, if it's
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you may be able to get a shot of this. I'm not sure. There's actually one here closer as well, but remember the weep holes I was telling you about?
Oh yeah.
So there's one. And of course one over there. And those are all located on the bottom shelf. Remember, there's about 13 of those throughout the trailer. Now, one of the unique things about our trailer as well is it's molded to the frame. So you don't have just a shell sitting flat on top of the frame. It actually encases that.
That's interesting.
That frame. So if you look in here, you'll see that bracket.
Yeah, look at that.
Carriage bolt in there.
Huh.
There's actually 7 carriage bolts that they use, and they're 7.5 inches, I believe. I may be wrong, it might be 8 inches, but 7.5 or 8 inch carriage bolts that they use to hold this thing to the frame, okay? Which doesn't seem like a whole lot. But if you look at where they're located and then take into consideration the fact that it's molded to the frame, it really does a good job of holding it.
Yeah.
And that's all that's needed. Now, we talked a little bit about, and we'll touch base on this more, but we talked a little bit about how everything's easily accessed from the inside of the trailer. So if you need work done, you know, this is going to be a technician's dream. They're going to love working on this trailer.
Absolutely.
Because everything's easy to get to. Our schematics are very, you know, they're kind of drawn in for the layperson to read, so they're not really that, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not complicated to read, okay? But one of the things I wanted to show you before we get too far is what we call a tank access plate, okay? Because as I tell people that, I tell them how everything's accessible. They can believe that, but they say, well, what about if something's wrong with one of my water tanks? As you know, the water tank's laid flat in the floor there.
Yeah.
And we'll show you that later. But if we needed to remove that tank, which is rare, we've only had to do it, I think, twice in our history, okay? But if we did, if you look back here at the back part of the shell, and you see that metal plate with the hole in it in the
look
back,
at that.
that can be removed, and we can slide those tanks right out of the rear of the trailer.
Okay, hang on, I gotta get this.
Again, it's one of those things that's not easy to do, but it can be done.
So that's
considered a tank access plate.
a tank access plate. That is so cool.
This is going to be where your upper shell is going to come through.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have your upper liner. You see the insulated part over there. So let's start with the upper shell. So what they're doing here is they've got the upper shell, and while it's very ergonomic to do this lower instead of having to climb a ladder or a scaffolding or anything like that, they can go ahead and mount things like the solar panels, okay? The Wi-Fi Ranger antenna, okay?
It's insane.
This one's going to have a cell booster antenna as well. That'll be mounted right here. They're still in the process of mounting that.
Okay.
Of course, your porch lights. You've got LED porch lights on both sides of the trailer.
That's great.
And then, of course, obviously your marker lights here.
Yeah.
If you come over here, you will see these brackets, which are made in-house as well. These brackets are what hold up your awning to, this is what holds your awning to the upper shell. Okay. So this year in 2019, we went to the Dometic awnings. They're actually a foot longer than the Carefree of Colorado awnings we used in the past. And we also offer a available powered awning now.
Okay.
So instead of just the manual crank as an option, you can get the powered awning.
Yeah.
Powered awning's great because you have the ability to leave the campsite, and it has a wind sensor. If the wind picks up,
Come
you don't have to
on.
worry about rolling your awning back
You're
up.
kidding.
It'll do it itself.
Oh my God.
So we're very excited about some of the new features in 2019.
No kidding.
Obviously, you know, grab bars for coming into the trailer.
Oh, and it's, you see like ours right now, it's plastic. And corrosion, everything.
Yeah.
Like I could put my nail through it and dig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this is metal, and
I
that's
know.
definitely not going to go anywhere. They've actually put on the back side here, you can't really see it unless you can maybe get that in there, but they put a strip of a type of material that they can screw into here. You see the back side here, the bolts, how they're in there. Now, anywhere that there's an intrusion, whether it be a bolt or a bracket on the roof, is going to be sealed very heavily. Because as you know, we already can tout that we don't have as many leaks as other types of trailers because it's molded fiberglass, right? So you can see, I mean, there's not many places for a leak
Well,
to happen.
hang on. What I love, okay, don't get me wrong, I love my casita. No rivets.
Right. So there's no rivets.
No rivets.
And you don't have, and speaking of that, you don't have rivets at your belly seam, okay? So with your casita, you know, you've got the two flanges, they come down flat together, they're riveted through.
Yeah.
Remember I told you at the beginning of the tour that we kind of reverse engineered a casita a little bit? That was one of the things that we knew right off the rip that we had to get rid of. So what you see here is if you turn around here, you'll see that the construction of our seam here actually just has a little small radius and it goes down. So instead of the two flanges coming together, you have, you know, essentially a glue joint that will go over top of the lower shell.
Yeah.
So it just works a little bit better. So,
yeah. The Northern Light had that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Northern Light's doing a good thing there.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing it right. But like I said, that stuff will be sealed with a caulk, marine grade caulk from the outside and of course on the inside.
And how often does that have to be maintained?
The caulk?
Yeah.
I would say you're probably looking at every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
You would need to look into redoing some of the seals and stuff.
And where would someone go, like if someone didn't want to do that work themselves,
Right.
where would they go to find someone that could do that for them?
Pretty much anywhere that works, any type of RV repair shop would be able to do that.
Okay, even if they mostly work on different types of RVs.
Now, when you take it in, I would definitely recommend that they use something that's marine grade.
Okay.
Or in other words, used on boats, because that's what we use here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that just gives you a little more longevity, a little more flexibility for something you're taking down the road.
True.
And if anything, you know, if all else fails, call us and let our service manager recommend what to use.
Yeah.
That way you know what you're doing when you go in.
Sure enough.
And also, you know, our service manager, our service department, I should say in general, is very stellar. I mean, they're going to make sure that you're taken care of whether you're here or in Quebec, okay? So definitely give us a call first and let us know what you got going on. We'll get you in touch with a third-party facility that we deem reputable, not just any, you know, average Joe place. We're going to send you to a place that we know we've gotten good reports with.
Okay, good.
Okay? We'll handle all your warranty work and things like that and help you get through those processes.
That's great.
As painless as possible.
To know that you have the support, the after-sale support,
Sure.
that's huge.
Yeah, so the after-sale support far surpasses the warranty, which, by the way, is probably, I would say, the best in the business.
How long is it?
Okay, so you've got a lifetime warranty, so that the body and shell is free of manufacturer defects.
Okay.
Okay, then of course it's a 5-year limited warranty on the chassis,
Okay.
so that it's free of manufacturer defects.
Okay.
And then the parts are all 2-year plus. There's even some of them that have extended warranties, which they'll take care of with you. They'll make sure that you get those extended warranties before you leave with the trailer.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we try to provide you the best warranty we can possibly provide you. And then of course, if you ever go to our website and look at the warranty page, you'll notice that there's little badges with each of our warranties, different warranties. And then there's another badge, which goes back to what you said. It's called the Lifetime Continual Support. Okay, and if you read that, it just essentially explains to you that even after your warranty's up, you're still a member of the family. We're a very, and I know people like to throw that word around family a lot and make it seem like it's a family-oriented thing, but we actually are. If you look around, there's people out here working that are Olivers. They're related to the people that started this thing.
Yeah.
And it's very much a small family-like thing, and we consider our owners, because we're still a pretty exclusive club, I would say, family members. So we very much treat you like that.
But not just that. I mean, you see in other styles of RVs,
Sure.
you have, you know, a company name and it disappears in 2 years.
That's correct.
Oliver's been around.
Oliver's been
the
around.
manufacturer's
We're
been around.
established, yes.
And likely many, many years in the future.
Yeah, and we don't plan on selling out. So, you know, obviously I can't make decisions for the big guys, but I can tell you that we plan on being very, you know, grassroots and making sure that we're doing this and putting the quality into the trailers.
Yeah.
We're not going to let somebody else come in here and dictate how we build the trailers.
For sure.
We're going to do it the right way, and we're going to do it at our pace.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you see that we've got the market pretty much hemmed up on at least fiberglass trailers. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
How many people work here?
So total in the building, I would venture to say there's probably about 350 people.
Yeah.
I would say again, 50 to 55 of those are just people working out here on the production line. You know, in the fiberglass area, of course, in the cutting area, and in the frame department.
Okay.
And then, of course, that's not including the people in marketing, sales, things like that. So, first thing you're probably going to notice is a big slab of plywood in there.
Yep.
That's actually not a part of the build.
Yep.
They're just putting that in there so that they can prevent walking on the tanks as much as possible.
Okay, so they walk on the
Correct.
plywood.
Correct. But if I lift this up just a little bit, I can show you. There's a fresh tank under there.
Okay.
Your gray tank is on the other side.
Yep.
Okay, that fresh tank is a 32.5 gallon tank. You can see it has the overflow tube that comes from the top of the tank. So when your tank is full, it will flow
Comes out
of
over here.
a hole right there.
Oh yeah, nice.
And of course you see the water lines and the wiring harness all being ran in. Now, one of the things I want to really kind of showcase is, you see she's actually back there installing the water heater right now, finishing up on that, and of course the furnace on the other side.
Yeah.
And you see the ductwork coming off of the furnace right there on the left side there, and that's going to run from the rear of the trailer all the way up here to the bathroom where there's another heater vent.
Okay.
So there's 2 heater vents in the main cabin,
Okay.
and then there's 1 in the bathroom. So essentially that warm air coming through that ductwork
Yeah.
is going to keep everything warm underneath the trailer.
Yeah.
So if you're warm inside the main cabin, you can rest assured that everything underneath that, the floor,
It's gonna be
mounted in
warm.
the subfloor is going to be warm as well.
And the bathroom too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So not only do you have the construction and the build that's keeping everything warm in those winter months, but you also have just the sheer function of the thing.
Yeah.
It's allowing everything to be heated as it's being used.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you're inside the camper using it and you've got that furnace running, you're not going to have any problems with frozen pipes or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you store it, if you store it outside, I would definitely recommend that you winterize the trailer.
Yeah.
But the winterization process for this trailer is super
Really easy.
And we've got a nice detailed video on our website that will walk you right through it.
Oh, that's cool.
So we definitely try to make sure we have instructional videos, things like that,
Yeah.
for when that comes out. And one of the things you'll notice, which right now it's hard to tell because she's actually still working, but when that's all said and done, when that's ready to go, you'll notice that a lot of the wires and plumbing and stuff like that, when you look inside those access hatches, it's very neat. You're not going to see a rat's nest of wires.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be very neat, strapped and loomed, and easy to access and kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
So this area here is actually really interesting. This is the glue station. So this is where it's going to start to come together as a trailer. Essentially what they do here is they're going to take what we call the bubble, which I don't have an example of other than the one that's actually already in the shell.
Okay.
But essentially it's going to be that upper liner and that lower liner combined, okay, and glued together. So that's going to be your inner hole or your cabin, right? That will then be picked up. You see it's already been insulated and the cabinet liners have been added. You notice the difference in shape now on the top.
Yeah.
It's completely
Yeah.
rounded off.
Yeah.
That's because they've added those cabinet liners to where those recesses were
Yeah.
for the cabinet. And then after they've insulated it and made sure all the wiring harnesses were ran on top, they set it down into the trailer. Now, that seems pretty cut and dry. Okay, we lift it, we set it down in. But you can imagine there's a lot of different things that we have to think about when we're doing that. We have to run the propane lines through small holes so that they, get into the trailer.
Yeah.
We also have to make sure that we're not pinching any wires.
Yeah.
We're not pinching any water lines.
Yeah.
Nothing's getting crushed. So it's very meticulous how they do it, but we've made it as easy as we can for them by putting things where they need to go. So everything has a place. Nothing's ever out of place.
Yeah.
So they can pick that up and confidently lower it down into that shell without damaging it.
Yeah.
What you see here. Okay, so remember we talked about the difference in the flange on say a casita or
Yeah.
different types of trailers. You have that overlap. Well, this flange will obviously all be cut off, and then it'll look like this, right? It'll be beveled here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see, this is the glue joint all the way through.
Okay.
Now you'll see the air gap here, but this isn't the biggest that gap will be. Obviously, the biggest area that gap's going to be is right here on any flat spot.
Okay.
You'll have more of a gap.
Yeah.
And then, of course, where it tapers off on the different radiuses, that's where you start to see that gap kind of slim down a little bit. But for right now, they need that glue to set up. That glue is still curing, okay? So if you get a good shot right down here, you'll see how thick that area is of glue joint there. So they've got this bar clamped all the way down here to make sure that when it's all said and done, there's no waves, okay? Everything's nice and true.
Yeah.
And then they go,
All the way around.
okay, so they work piece by piece.
Right.
Down.
So what they've done is the glue joints are, you've got it around the belly band, but there's also one ran on the support beam right between the two tanks. And then on the top, if you notice the trolley top section there, or if you look at this one here, it's probably easier to see. There's no insulation there. That's because they're going to run a bead of glue there. That'll be
Okay.
where another glue joint is.
Okay.
Okay. So then once this is done, they'll bring one of the upper shells over, and this big hoist you see here that's actually got the bubble attached to it still
Yeah.
with the chain, that will pick up the upper shell and set the shell down over the top of it. So this will be the next one to get the shell.
Wow.
They keep everything level as they're doing that. You see how they got the levelers
yeah.
underneath? Make sure that when they put the shell on and the glue dries, they don't get the trailer over there and realize that it's crooked or anything.
Yeah.
Keep everything nice and level.
Good one, yeah.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
So this area here is the electric station. You've got electric 1 and electric 2. Electric 1 is going to park the trailer right here. They're going to bring the scaffolding, pull it up to the right up to the trailer.
Yep.
They'll harness in, they'll get up on top, and they'll mount things like your AC, your max air fan, anything that they didn't already have mounted. So essentially the things that really need to be wired in and set perfectly, they'll do that. Once it's moved from there to electric 2, they'll go ahead and finish hooking up all of the different electrical components. So this is going to be where all of your, it just pops out.
Oh, okay.
But if you can zoom in here, you'll see things like the solar charge controller,
Oh, yeah.
the stereo, speakers, the TV, the max air fan, the air conditioner. All that stuff will be wired in now.
Yeah.
And it's essentially because of the harness, the way the harness has been laid out, everything's just plug and play.
Yeah.
You're just gonna plug everything in, make sure that it works. Once they've done a complete functionality test for all of the electrical components, they'll do what's called a dielectric strength test. Essentially, or a high pot test, it's also known as. Essentially, they're gonna charge the whole unit up and make sure that there's no shorts or ground faults or anything like that. Grounding issues, any kind of wiring issues that they could potentially have will be checked for with that one test. And then of course if they have issues, they can immediately identify those and fix the issue. If not, it's good to go. These are tests that are required by RVIA, so it's not just stuff we're doing, it's actually, you know, for our own sake, it's stuff that we're doing to satisfy codes and things like that. This here is this is your propeller. So if you want to turn this thing into a boat or an airplane, it just matters how.
Yes, please.
It just depends on which way you're facing, okay? No, actually, this is the spare tire mount. So because your spare tire is going to be the same size and same rim as your tires and wheels that are on there, on the axle, this needs to be pretty beefy to hold.
No
that,
kidding.
right? So we've built this, we've designed and built this very sturdy aluminum spare tire holder. And then of course you'll have a fiberglass cover that will cover this. This of course will go to the wiring for the spare or the license plate line.
Oh yeah, okay.
Here's an example of one of those propane quick connects mounted. Okay. Now one thing you can't see here, but you'll notice later on, is that this whole area right here, there will be a floor here, an brushed aluminum floor, and then a diamond plate cover that goes over this. Then of course your bumper will be here. And remember, that folds down
That's true.
and folds up.
Yeah.
So one of the big concerns when you're camping, especially doing campground style camping, is emptying your waste, right? So here's your waste cap. It's pretty standard, it's Valterra. This is a company that makes stuff for pretty much every RV out there on the road. But the difference here is I can now hook up my waste hose, my flexible waste hose, right? And once I hook it up here, that's it. I don't have to continue to do that every single time because I can just roll that hose up, cap it off, and store it in here.
That's perfect.
So once this is the finished storage area, you'll notice that it's perfect size for storing that hose.
One less step, and also you have storage.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing.
Now here's the thing. When I store that there, this is now a contaminated storage area.
For sure.
This is my waste, right?
Absolutely.
But if I opt for the composting toilet, then I don't have to use this for my waste, and now this becomes added storage for anything.
That's amazing.
Okay? So it's really a win-win, depending on which, regardless of which toilet you use.
Yeah.
Choose.
What do you think the percentage is of people that want the composting toilet?
Okay, so when we first started to offer the composting toilet, it was very bleak. It was very much not enough research done on it, not from us, but from the consumer. So they were kind of unsure about it. But what we've done is we've actually tried to research, you know, the complete process of not just the toilet itself, but the composting process. So aerobic respiration is the process of composting. Okay, so we tried to get ourselves enough knowledge of that so when people ask us, we can, you know, confidently tell them how easy it is to operate that composting toilet.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
since we've started doing that, we've seen an uptick in it. So
Absolutely.
you know, you hear the term upselling.
Yeah.
Of course, any salesperson is going to try to sell you the best product they have because obviously it's more money coming into them. But we're so low pressure sales here. We're not trying to make a buck off of you. We're going to sell you what we think is going to be important for your style of camping. So obviously these are decisions you're going to make, but we'll give you the information that you need to make that decision. Since we've started offering that information up about that composting toilet and doing our own research, we've seen that go up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I would say percentage-wise, you're probably looking at 50-50 right now.
Really?
Yes, and it
is
really is.
that is so surprising.
and
I would
it's-
have figured 10%.
Well, no, actually, well, when we started, it was more like 10 or 20%, but I'm saying 50-50 now. I think that in the coming months, we're going to see that number go up because it's really just the people that are gravitating towards Oliver are people that typically like to boondock anyway,
Yeah.
right? So that toilet makes so much sense for boondocking. Even if I bypass telling you every great feature about it, I can tell you one thing. Boondocking, I'm going to be able to use that thing 60 to 80 times, okay, before I have to empty that, all right? It's easy enough to empty. You can use the compost as long as you let it respirate longer. You can actually use that for a garden or just fertilize your trees at home or your lawn, okay? But 60 to 80 uses allows me to stay out for 3 weeks to a month on average, okay? Where a black tank, even an 18.5 gallon capacity on our black tank, it's a lot. You can use that probably a week, 2 weeks before you have to empty that black tank,
Yeah.
right? So if you want to go out and be out for a long period of time and you don't want to have to be finding a dump station or standing in line at a dump station in your busier seasons, then I would recommend getting that composting tool.
Absolutely.
So people that want to compost, can
Yeah.
they remove the black tank and put an extra grate?
Well, here's the thing. We're going to provide the black tank even if you get the composting toilet. So that'll be there. Just like, same concept as everything else. We're going to give you the wiring harness the same way, all the backer plates the same way. Tanks will all be there. So if you get the composting toilet, you still have that tank there. Now, because of RVIA coding and things like that, we can't legally do any modifications to that tank to create extra storage for gray water.
Okay.
Some people even want to divert that black tank or divert the urine from the, drill through the jug and make that urine go down into the black tank so it's just liquid only.
Yeah.
Those are things that can be modified very easily as a DIY project,
Yeah.
but we can't do it from here.
Got it.
So, and if we could, we definitely would satisfy that need. We get that question quite a bit.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is, look, go on our forums on our website, pose that question. Chances are somebody out there has already done it.
And they can show you how.
And they will show you how, and they're very happy to do that. I think one of the unique things about our trailers is not our trailer. It's our people that own these trailers.
Absolutely.
It's our family of owners, right? Because they're so willing to show their trailers off. We don't have dealerships across the country. We have to rely on ambassadors to show this product. So, short of coming here for the plant tour, which you guys have done, and we appreciate that, you could, check out a trailer on the road somewhere in your area, and they will, give you an open house and answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
So just like that, we have that forum where people are eager to help you do modifications, figure out an issue, troubleshoot something, recommend things to you, recommend campsites. I mean, there's just so many different topics that you can cover on that forum, and everybody is very eager to help. So for the most part, it's completely uncensored, unbiased opinions from people that are out there in the field. And it's not just owners, it's people that are prospective owners.
Yeah.
It's people that own Airstreams.
Yeah.
And they're very diehard Airstreams. So that's where I think, you get a good kind of mix of, the good, the bad, and the ugly from that forum. And we encourage people to go on that forum.
Yeah, the RV community, and especially the fiberglass community, the
Right.
molded fiberglass community, they're so tight-knit and everyone's so
Sure.
willing to help each other.
Absolutely.
We love it.
And I definitely noticed that when I went to that bowler rally in Winnipeg, because, we were definitely the minority there.
Yeah.
It was mostly bowlers, but there was also a lot of other Canadian type trailers. Escape and Bigfoot.
Trillium.
There were Trilliums. Trillium, I had not seen a Trillium until I went to Canada. And I'll tell you, I was very impressed with what they're doing. But it was, and there was a lot of casitas as well.
Yeah.
We actually convoyed up with a few casitas as
Oh,
well.
that's
So,
cool.
so it definitely is a tight-knit community, and I think that people that own fiberglass trailers know what they have,
Yeah.
and anytime I get a chance to get some fiberglass people together
Yeah.
and talk to some Airstream people,
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity to kind of explain to them the benefits of the
Yeah.
fiberglass.
Okay,
So-
so this window also pops up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an emergency exit.
Right.
So this is thermal and it's dual pane. So
That's correct.
that's good for noise barrier and temperature.
Correct.
The side ones don't pop up, right?
No.
Those actually just slide. So you have the sliding windows, and then of course the sliding screen as well.
The one thing that I like about the pop-up is when it's raining,
Sure.
you could have the little, you're not gonna get water.
Absolutely. So what we've seen people do to combat that is we've seen people actually modify and add their own awnings. Okay. We've even the funny thing is most of our owners right now. I mean, you got to think we've got maybe 406, 407 trailers on the road. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but most of I shouldn't say most, a lot of our owners are like the engineer type. They're in the engineer field.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion. So they're always adding things to the trailer and modifying it
Yeah.
to their liking. And one of the things is awnings. Great couple by the name of Bruce and Cheryl Norton have developed an awning for these windows that is just perfect. It is
Oh, yeah.
so genius.
That's great.
And they offer that up on the forum, how to make them and everything. It's very inexpensive and easy to make the awnings, and they're very clean. They look nice. They almost look like they were, built to 6-volt AGMs made by Trojan, one of the best names in the business.
Okay, so these 4 batteries fit in here,
Correct.
and they just slide in and out.
Correct.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, you already have the solar panels there. It's like there's nothing to do.
Right.
It's already done.
So we were in Georgia, a Hiawassee rally, and I was speaking with an owner of a casita, very proud of his trailer, brought me in, very hospitable, showed me his trailer. He had done some very cool things to the trailer, even had a stained glass window, which I thought was cool. It was custom for him and his wife. Long story there, but anyway, just showing me the different features. And one of the gripes, now this is he
yes.
looked into Oliver, and one of the things that he did not like about our trailer was that he couldn't buy a trailer and immediately start modifying it to his liking because everything had already been done, right?
Yeah.
There was really nothing he could do that would make his casita better than the next, okay? Or,
He's a
as an
handy
owner.
guy. He wants projects.
Exactly right. And he was one of those engineer type people as well, and he loved his projects. So I think that it kind of turns some people off in that sense. If they like projects, but listen, there's still a lot of different things you can do with this trailer. You see these pink antifreeze coming out, and now you know that section has been winterized.
Oh, it's pretty
So
easy.
again, the winterization process is very easy. You'll hand pump these two and then the black tank flush in the front, but the inlet on the back side that we'll talk about a little later is, which most people consider the winterization inlet. It's really just to winterize that section of plumbing, but it does so using the pump on the onboard pump. So you'll turn on the pump and it will suck that antifreeze right into the lines. But that inlet is actually primarily considered a boondocking inlet. And the reason being is because it gives you a chance to remotely fill up your tank. So let's say you're going on a trip somewhere and you know you're going to be off the grid for a while. Obviously, you're probably going to take some water with you in the fresh tank. Before you leave, you'll fill your fresh tank and you'll drive. That may seem a little taboo to some people because they don't typically like to drive with water in the tank.
Because it's heavy.
But the way our tanks are laid out in the trailer, they're mounted right over the axle, very low under that floor. They're very long and slender, okay? So what that provides you with is, instead of having a big tank on one side of the trailer that's more of a square box full of water, okay? When you're going down the road, you don't actually realize that you have water on board. You don't feel the difference.
Yeah.
In my experiences, I pulled with and without water. I've never felt like having water on board was causing any
sway.
movement to the trailer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But the cool thing about this inlet, let's go around here and I'll show you. So this is that boondocking water inlet here. The cool thing about that is I can hook up a 30-gallon water bladder or even just a 5-gallon bucket, put a cutoff hose to that bucket or just a connected hose to that bladder, and go in and turn on my water pump and turn some valves to a certain direction. I can pump water into my fresh tank once I've depleted that,
That's amazing.
that tank of water.
That's
So well thought of.
And you know, if you had a sophisticated enough purification filter here, I could suck water out of a stream if I wanted to, and have continuous water.
How cool.
You know what I mean? If I park
Yeah.
close to it. You definitely have to be pretty close to the stream.
Yeah.
but still, I mean, just to have that as a convenience.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's really is.
A quick connect as well. So when you order that package, you get two. You get one in
You
the
get the
front,
one in the front and the one in the back.
Correct.
I'm still amazed at how much clearance.
I know.
This is unbelievable.
It's like,
Look at that clearance.
what you get.
That's awesome.
4-power port on the other side of the trailer as an option.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's just called a convenience port now.
How do you store this? Because ours, it's in a little cubby there.
Yeah.
So
Does it have like the reel on it or something?
A
not
reel?
really a wheel,
No,
but it's attached.
Oh, okay.
So we pull it out and put it in, but it's always.
No,
I gotcha.
it's a 2005. It's pretty low tech.
Okay. So this one, you would unhook it from here. You would just turn this collar lock and turn that a quarter turn, pull that out. Okay. Then you would just take it, roll it up,
Yeah.
put it right down in your basement. Or if you had this, if you were using this for some other type of storage, you could use that. You could put that in the back of your truck even.
True.
But,
Yeah.
Because ours
Or if you have a composting toilet, you can put it back there.
absolutely, you could. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You can put all your hoses and cords and stuff like that. So here's probably a better look at the battery box here, the completed one here.
so convenient.
Oh my god, this is going on my vision board. Oh,
And again, maintenance-free battery. So essentially, the only time I'm really opening this is to check my straps and to check my nuts here on the post. And of course, you see the quality mark that they put on each one to ensure that you're not over. You know, you're not. None of them are loose, or you don't over tighten them.
And this is all ready for solar, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Solar's all wired up.
Yeah.
now if somebody wanted lithium, is that something you guys could provide or no?
As of right now, we don't.
Okay.
But I think that our wiring harnesses and everything would support them. But you would have to get a different inverter and make some changes, in, in other areas
Okay.
as well. It's something that our research and development team is looking at pretty heavily right now
Okay.
because of the demand for lithium.
Yeah, and also lithium's coming down in price quite a bit.
It is,
right?
and that's what I think we're waiting for is kind of to catch
Yeah.
up to that price point. But I would venture to say that, and this is just my theory, I think that within the next year or so we may be offering lithium. But you can't take that to the bank because
Yeah, for sure. You never know.
I'm
You
not
never
the
know.
decision maker.
But if people are asking for it, right?
But it's definitely in high demand, and I know that they're looking into it. So then once the trailer gets down here, they'll actually start to install the graphics that you've seen.
Is it possible to have it without the graphics?
It is, yeah. You can order it without anything. We've had people order the trailers without any graphics, and then they went and put a complete wrap.
Okay.
So